What's going on, y'all? So today I'm going to be sort of looking at the matchup between the Baltimore Ravens and the Miami Dolphins. This is a Thursday night game. The Ravens are at home against the Dolphins in Miami. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at the offensive and defensive keys for the Ravens, things that they need to do to win, things that I think they need to do to win. And I'm going to be using sort of the Dolphins' offensive and defensive rankings to explain that as well. And also looking back at their most recent game to draw some conclusions there. So starting out offensively for the Ravens, the Miami Dolphins rank 30th in total yards per game, defensive yards per game, with 392. They average 281 pass yards per game and 111 rush yards per game, putting them at 30th and 17th respectively. If you want to compare that to the Vikings, who they played last week, they allowed roughly 120 yards rushing and 245 yards passing per game before they played. As of this week, the Vikings allow 136 rush yards per game. And I say that to say, one of the things I want to see the Ravens do is get their run game going early. I think their run game is starting to take shape again. You know, these new running backs that they brought in, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray has been injured, but the other two, I think they're starting to hit their stride with this scheme. You know, early on, it looked like they didn't really know what they were doing for the most part, again, other than against, the Chargers and Chiefs, who have mediocre, not even mediocre, atrocious rush defenses. But other than that, it kind of looked like they weren't really there all the way. But this game against the Vikings, who have, they had a mediocre rush defense, but it wasn't as horrible as the Chiefs or the Chargers. They performed very well. And I think that's going to continue into this game. You know, as they get more acclimated to the Ravens system, I think they're going to continue to slowly and steadily improve. Maybe not, actually, definitely not to the degree that it would be with J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. And I can't even imagine what our rush game is going to be with them, because actually I believe the Ravens average the most rush yards per game as of right now, which is pretty insane considering the circumstances. But again, I think they just need to establish that run game early and often, as Miami does have a mediocre rush defense. You know, the Vikings allowed 9 more yards per game against them, and after they played us, they averaged 16 more than they did. So I think they'll have little issue running the ball against the Dolphins. Another thing I want to see them do is get Lamar into a rhythm in terms of passing. Especially if the run game does not work, I want to see them do that early. Um, an issue with the game against Minnesota last week was Lamar wasn't really in a rhythm, and I want to say around 80% of that had to do with him missing easy passes. But regardless, I do want to see coaches, see the offensive coordinator give him those gimme plays, and I want to see him hit those plays. Lamar can be kind of inconsistent sometimes, but he always, he always comes back from it. Using those short plays, play action plays, deep shots, pretty much anything. Whatever's open's open. Take what the defense gives you to a degree. I have a feeling the Miami defense is kind of going to be giving them whatever they want, but in the occasion that they do perform well in one aspect of the game, I think getting Lamar in a rhythm in whatever you need him to do is very important, regardless of who you're playing. The last thing is kind of a key for pretty much any week and every week moving forward. I want to see them get their playmakers involved, regardless of who they are. Running backs, wide receivers, fullbacks, tight ends. I want to see Pat Ricard catch some more passes. I want to see Le'Veon Bell run the ball. Oh my goodness. I want to see Le'Veon Bell run the ball. I want to see him catch some passes. If the run game's not working, use your running backs as, safety valves. Use Pat Ricard as a safety valve. Look at him. He caught a dump-off pass and took it 12 yards. He caught another pass and carried a defender for an extra 10 yards last game. And I personally, this is kind of a side note, I think Pat Ricard's probably one of the more underrated pass catchers on this team, if not the most underrated pass catcher on this team. He's a chain mover, almost, in a degree. He'll catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage. There'll be 2 defenders in front of him. Next thing you know, it's a 10-yard gain, because he's huge, And if I'm being honest, I'd love to see him run the ball, too. I know how important he is in terms of blocking, but I think if we get Nick Boyle back, I think using Pat Ricard in running situations will be massive to the Ravens' run game. But with all that being said, they should have pretty much no issue moving the ball down the field. I've said before, the Miami defense is, at best, mediocre. If I'm being more realistic, it's trash. It's horrible. Their entire team's horrible, if I'm being honest. I would feel bad for myself if I was a Dolphins fan. But anyways, moving on to defensive keys for the Ravens. The Dolphins are 30th in total offense with 297 yards per game. They average 222 pass yards and 75 rush yards per game, putting them at 23rd and 32nd. So, continuing on with that trash narrative. I do trust our secondary to cover their playmakers if we blitz, which I assume we will, considering how bad their offense is. However, getting pressure and getting to the quarterback without blitzing is preferable. But again, seeing as the Dolphins are not a very good team and this is a home game, I think they can definitely open up that defensive playbook and send in a bunch of different blitz packages. With that being said, I don't like zero blitzes. I've never liked them, and I don't want them to do them ever. Especially now, considering their secondary is banged up, and they just lost to Sean Elliott, which makes it even more banged up. And looking at the Dolphins, their best weapon on offense is their tight end, Mike Gesicki. And although the Ravens have struggled with covering tight ends, I believe, hopefully, they'll get Jimmy Smith more involved. Because Jimmy Smith, he is a very good cornerback. He's kind of flies under the radar, and he has in his career with the Ravens, but even though he's, on the older side in terms of football age, he is still a borderline lockdown corner, and he is definitely our biggest and most physical corner, in my opinion. Marlon Humphrey is more of a coverage guy. He'll force some turnovers in terms of fumbles, but I think Jimmy Smith is definitely the biggest and most physical in coverage, and he's definitely, without a doubt, the best at covering tight ends. But based off last game against the Vikings, I mean, I know the score was 31-34. I'm still pretty confident the defense can hold the Miami offense. Because if you really look back at the Vikings game, 3 of their touchdowns, I think, they scored what? 3, 7, 14. They scored 4 touchdowns, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't know. I might be wrong. But I know at least 3 of them came off of big plays. You have the 50-yard pass to Justin Jefferson. That was blown coverage. You have the 66-yard run by Dalvin Cook. And then you have that long pass to their fullback. You take away those 3 big plays, that's a 21-point swing at least. So I think as long as they can avoid big plays, and this is more of a case with future games, I don't think the Dolphins are going to produce any big plays. Could be wrong. Hopefully I'm not. But as long as they avoid big plays, they should have pretty much no issue against the Miami offense. But all in all, the most important keys to this game are execution, making tackles, playing your assignments, try not to do too much, cough, cough, Patrick Queen. And don't overlook the Dolphins. I know I've called them trash the entire video, but they're still a professional football team. And the saying, any given Sunday, you've seen the Jets beat 2 playoff teams. You never know what's going to happen. So don't overlook any team, because the moment you overlook them is the moment you get smacked in the mouth. Now, fortunately, the Ravens have been good at getting smacked in the mouth and coming back from it, but ideally, I would prefer them not to get smacked in the mouth at all. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video. If you agree with me, disagree with me, want to argue with me, feel free to leave a comment, and I will without a doubt reply, because I have 41 subscribers, and I haven't posted a video in 6 months. But anyways, I did actually just post a video of my AFC Playoff Predictions, but that video kind of sucks, and I would recommend you not watch it. Other than the beginning, I kind of explain the type of content I'm going to be posting, but other than that, don't watch that video, it's trash. But other than that video, if you want to see future content like this, feel free to subscribe, feel free to suggest content. I do primarily focus on Baltimore Ravens football, but I do also make broader NFL-wide videos. I also will start making gaming videos whenever I decide to do that, probably tomorrow or Friday.